Welcome back. It is 5:47 on Daybreak, and this week in News to You, we're looking back on when there was a Flying Tigers restaurant, and when you were asked, would that be VHS or Beta? And a new way to get around downtown, too. Our Dave McKinley has our weekly walk back through time when those stories and more were all news to you.
10 years ago this week, the Pagulas formally took ownership of the Bills and the One Buffalo campaign was launched, although if you try to go to that website seen on the billboard today, you'll find it inoperable. After decades of talking about it, ground was finally broken to redevelop the former Buffalo Psych Center, or Richardson Complex, as it's now known, this week in 2014. 20 years ago this week.
This is Today on NBC, watched by millions. So why is the mayor of Buffalo here?
Yeah, come to think of it, this week's News to You pop quiz. Why was Mayor Anthony Mazziello invited onto the Today Show while wearing a coat and scarf, no less? This week in 2004. Parking was at a premium in Alderson, West Virginia for Martha Stewart's arrival to prison for her stock fraud conviction, and Christopher Reeve, paralyzed in an equestrian accident, who became an advocate for stem cell research to assist the disabled, died from complications after surviving for 9 years at the age of 52. Back in Buffalo in his first run for Congress, Brian Higgins got some high-profile help, and disappointed diners were surprised to find the doors suddenly closed at the once popular Flying Tigers restaurant out near the Buffalo airport. There had been talk in ensuing years of reopening the World War II-themed eatery with its views of planes coming and going, but today, some 20 years later, the place remains as empty as it became this week in 2004. 30 years ago this week, the Sabres were getting ready to start another season, but couldn't, nor could any other team amid the first ever NHL lockout. Without a collective bargaining agreement, team owners refused to play out the season. The lockout, something unheard of at the time, would go on for more than 3 months, with 468 games lost, including the All-Star game, and it all began this week in 1994. 40 years ago this week, as Diana Ross sang to a crowd at Memorial Auditorium and state troopers tooled around in cars that looked like this, Collins was still the site of the World Pumpkin Weigh-Off. You could buy a pack of smokes for $1.05 or a gallon of gas for $1.10, full service, mind you, and VCRs were the hottest items flying off store shelves.
Industry experts are predicting some 3 million shoppers will get some kind of video cassette recorder between now and Christmas,
in both VHS and Beta formats. And there was big doings downtown as the stage was set with orange and brown bunting to accompany the speeches made when Metro Rail began offering service. Just on the above-ground portion, the subway portion of the system wouldn't open for several more months after this week in 1984, when it was all news to you.
Wow, what a walk back in time. Okay, so here's the answer to this week's News to You pop quiz. Buffalo Mayor Anthony Mazziello appeared on the Today Show 20 years ago this week as part of a segment on experts. So, along with an expert on gift wrapping and bed making, show producers sought to have an expert on how to shovel snow and figured the mayor of Buffalo would be as good as any. Although in truth, that actually is sand being used for a substitute to snow during his demonstration. Lift with the legs, right? Not
right,
the back?
not the back.
Oh my goodness.
And hopefully it's not heavy.
Right.
Leave it.
Flying Tigers, that was such a treat when my parents would take my brother and I there. It was so cool to see all of the planes up close right there on the runway at that restaurant. And then looking back at the VHS and Beta, I mean, you show kids a VHS tape now and they have no idea what it is.
Or the cassette tapes.
Yes.
Sometimes the kids will pick it up. What do we do with this again?
Right. And I still think of a pencil, putting it in there to wind it back up.
Right, yes, it all comes out.
Right.
I know, and then just the lockout, it's like, it's nice seeing those, all the 20 years ago, 30 years ago,
Dave
all those
McKinley does
memories.
such a great
He does,
job with
yeah,
that.
he does. All right.